Hi everyone, I'm Robert Moody. I'm music director of the Portland Symphony Orchestra. Welcome to Online Insights. This is a conversation about our November Tuesday classical concert. It'll be the second Tuesday classical performance in the 2014-2015 season, which of course is our big 90th anniversary season. We really are pulling out all the stops for this season, and we're also making sure that we really celebrate the orchestra. You're going to see that in full living color with this concert. It's Symphonie Fantastique for a fantastic symphony. So there are three incredible works on this concert. The first piece on the concert features the strings of the orchestra. It's Bela Bartok's Romanian folk dances, some really wonderful, lusty, earthy works for string orchestra. We did that on purpose because the next piece on the concert is for winds, featuring winds and timpani actually. This is by Frank Martin. It's called the Concerto for Seven Winds, Timpani, and Orchestra. The soloists are all the principal players of our Portland Symphony Orchestra. 7 great wind principals and 1 great timpanist, all members of our Portland Symphony Orchestra family. You're going to get to see in a wonderful solo statement Lisa Hennessy, our principal flute, Amanda Hardy, our principal oboe, Tom Parchman, our principal clarinet, Janet Polk, our principal bassoon. Also, we've got John Bowden, principal horn, Joe Foley, our principal trumpet, Nicholas Orovich, our principal trombone, and John Tanzer, our principal timpanist. It really is an all-star, all-PSO star-studded evening, having this incredible work on the concert. Everyone who has been involved in the concert on the first half comes back together for the finale of the concert. So the strings will have played by themselves the work by Bartok. The woodwinds will have been featured along with the brass principals and the timpani in the work by Frank Martin. And then after intermission, we come back for one of the most famous and powerful works in all of the repertory, Berlioz' Symphonie Fantastique. And it is about a fantastic symphony, but it's also about a symphonic journey that takes you on an amazing fantasy trip. So here's a bit of the story. Hector Berlioz was overwhelmingly in love with a woman he met named Harriet Smithson. And in fact, they did eventually marry. When he met her, I think we might say in our day and age that he stalked her a little bit. He was obsessed with her. He wrote a piece of music in which he becomes sort of the autobiographical character, the central character of this symphony, where this young composer goes on an opium-induced fantasy ride in which he imagines all of the aspects of his courtship and love with Harriet Smithson. So he goes on various journeys in this 5-movement piece. Some of it is quite beautiful. There's a scene at a ball where he takes her to dance. There's a wonderful scene in the countryside where the lovers are hearing shepherds calling each other with shepherd pipes from across the field. And we actually move one of the oboes well into the balcony so you can get that sense of shepherd pipes calling each other. But then the story turns. It turns out that Berlioz his anger, or the character's anger, gets the best of him, and he is sentenced to a damnation because of this. When this happens, there is the march to the scaffold in which you actually hear the guillotine of the character happening. It's quite interesting because Berlioz wrote pizzicato strings to represent the head bouncing once the guillotine has happened. And then finally comes the dream of a witch's Sabbath. Because of his sins, this character has now gone down into the pits of hell, and he is being surrounded by a whirlwind of witches and ghosts and goblins. And even though that sounds, well, like a Halloween story, it's an incredible, fantastic journey for the orchestra. It will have some great features that you won't hear in many other pieces. For example, you will hear the oboe in the balcony for the shepherds. You will hear something called Berlioz bells. These are 2 giant bells which ring in the day of wrath, the day of mourning, when the dream of a witch's Sabbath is really beginning to commence. Some very dramatic features that it's amazing to realize that this piece was written in the early 1830s, just a few years after Beethoven died, and it sounds like a modern fantasy in some ways. Come to the concert and you'll see what I mean. This is one of the best journeys I know in all of music, this journey of Berlioz' Symphonie Fantastique. And it's one of the best ways to celebrate our orchestra in its full glory. Soloists on the Martin Concerto, strings on the Bartók work, and then really the entire orchestra as its own virtuoso instrument with so many individual members getting a chance to shine. Absolutely don't miss this concert. It's going to be one of the real highlights of the year. Symphonie Fantastique.